Nocturnal admission to master suck.
Anyway, in the dream, I figured out a way to live among my cats, Mayonnaise and Poopsie, by downloading my brain into a fake cat. I learned about and became a part of their cat culture. Meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. But then my mom attacked all of us and destroyed the giant tree where we all lived. Which is crazy because my mom really is a cat person. Anyway.
Nocturnal admission to master suck.
So in this dream, I was invited to a mysterious gathering during a thunderstorm at this mansion with all these strangers, except one of the strangers was my cat Poopsie, and one was my cat Mayonnaise. And my mom was there, but she was murdered.
I've been murdered!
And we had to figure out which one of us was the murderer. The weirdest part of the dream is that there were 4 different endings.
Nocturnal admission to master suck.
I dreamt that I became this slave and had to fight against a series of opponents in front of hundreds of people. I fought several men and even had to fight larger versions of my cats, Mayonnaise and Poopsie. It broke my heart, but I had to slay them. And afterwards, I was all mad and was like, is everybody enjoying this? Finally, my last opponent was the person who enslaved me to begin with. And guess what? It was my mom. Once I defeated her, the dream ended with me dreaming about my former life. It was so weird.
Nocturnal admission to master suck.
My cat Mayonnaise was the king, and I was Mayonnaise's brother, but I wanted to be king, so I kept killing or putting in prison anyone else who I thought could ever be king besides me. Finally, Mayonnaise died, and I became king, but everyone hates me, and this other kingdom invades, led by my mom.
Attack!
And I was riding my other cat Poopsie into battle, but I fell off, and I was like, my kingdom for another cat! But then my mom killed me. Oh, and I had a hunchback. That's kind of important.
Nocturnal admission to master suck.
In my dream, my cat Poopsie was a retired basketball player who got sucked down a golf hole by my other cat Mayonnaise, who was dressed as a rabbit, which was really cute actually. But my mom wanted to enslave all of the cartoon cats to work at an alien theme park. But Poopsie and Bunny Mayonnaise and Bill Murray played my mom and the aliens in a basketball game. And I kept on believing I could fly, but I don't think I ever did.
Nocturnal admission to master suck.
Okay, I had this utterly bizarre dream where I was this really smart guy who used his intelligence to con people for a living. I even swindled my own mother, played in my dream by my real mom, into thinking I'm just your average son. And I vaguely remember making fake checks and having these difficult jobs like a pilot. But here's the weirdest part. A couple of detectives are in pursuit, but they're not people, they're my cats, Mayonnaise and Poopsie. I forge a strong and complicated bond with Mayonnaise all the way until our cat and mouse game ends.
Nocturnal admission to master suck.
My mom was in the dream, and she found all this drug money out in the middle of nowhere, and she decides to keep it without even going to the police, even though that's not something my mom would normally do. My cats, Poopsie and Mayonnaise, were in the dream too. Poopsie was an old sheriff in over his head, and Mayonnaise had weird hair and kept flipping a coin and killing people. It was a wild dream, but kind of disappointing at the end.
Nocturnal admission to master suck.
I was an FBI agent investigating the murder of my cat Poopsie. My partner trying to help me solve the crime was my other cat Mayonnaise, who was a forensic anthropologist who worked at the Jeffersonian Institute in D.C. Mayonnaise and I worked really well as a team, and there was even a little romantic tension between us. But Mayonnaise had a lot of family issues and emotional problems. Just before I woke up, I realized my mom was the murderer! Anyway.
Nocturnal admission to master
It was a really stupid heist dream. I remember wanting to steal something from a museum, but my cat Poopsie was also trying to steal it. My other cat Mayonnaise was my sidekick, and she was pretending to be somebody else, but somebody else was herself. And that didn't make sense because she is herself. Then Bruce Willis showed up.
Yippee-ki-yay, everyone.
And in the end, Poopsie did this weird aerobic dance to steal the thing and avoids all these lasers. But it turned out that I had the thing from the museum all along. So I'm not really sure why I even had the dream in the first place. Anyway.
Nocturnal admission to master
My mom was in my dream.
Cookie.
But in the dream, she was a teenager.
Cookie.
Who was on a vacation at this Catskills resort, and while she was there, she met my cat Mayonnaise, who is this hunky dance instructor. I think my cat Poopsie was my mom's dad or something. Well, Poopsie didn't like Mayonnaise, especially after my mom told Poopsie that she and Mayonnaise spent the night together. Then Mayonnaise gets fired and puts on a big dance number with my mom at the end of my dream, and then everything's okay, and then my mom has a nose job.
Nocturnal admission to master
In this dream, my cat Poopsie was trying to figure out who killed my other cat Mayonnaise. Only Poopsie couldn't remember anything, so she had all these clues tattooed on her little kitty body. The really weird thing was that some of my dream was in black and white, and some of it was in color. And it all happened backwards. I'd like to try and catch it again, but I can't remember.
Nocturnal admission to master
So it started with me standing on the corner in a sports bra and skirt held together by a safety pin, and my cat Mayonnaise pulled up in a sports car. And he asked me for directions. Then he took me to his hotel where we spent a week together, though I had some rule about no kissing on the mouth, even though he was devastatingly handsome. And he gave me some money to go shopping, and they wouldn't let me into some stores even though I had money to spend in there, but eventually I cleaned up real nice. And then I broke that rule about not kissing on the mouth because we had something real. And then he tried to pay me for my services at the end of the week, but I got really offended because I thought we were more than that, you know? And so I went home back to my crappy apartment, and Mayonnaise followed me with flowers and climbed up the fire escape, and we lived happily ever after, and it was so wonderful!